it's always a question I have, because when I read books in Portuguese, then translate into English, or the other way around, I really feel like they are completely different books. So my question for Daniel is like, how do you see translation? Is it rewriting the same book, or do you feel like you're writing a new book and you own a new book because it's completely different? Also, in the case of the Angolan authors, I'm really like interested in the way translators approach, you know, some peculiarities of the Portuguese speaking, because the Angolan Portuguese has its peculiarities. So I just wanted to know how Daniel approaches that. And then going to Agualusa, yes, I really agree with him when he talks about like the lack of access to books. You know, I'm Angolan, I grew up there, and most of the Angolan writers, like very celebrated Angolan writers, I just started to read when I came, for example, to Lisbon, where books were much cheaper and much more accessible. So there is definitely an issue there. So there isn't really an industry in Angola where, you know, you are able to find those titles. You know, we have very few bookstores in the country. It's very rare for books to be published there, because for me it seems like it's also a very political issue. It feels like there isn't political will for the books to circulate and for people to have access to them, especially when those are books that criticize the regime or that question the status quo in Angola. Because when otherwise, with that, like books, you know, which are found by the government or published by more authors that are more linked to the government or more pro-government, then you find those books and they're much more accessible. So there's definitely a political issue there, I think, as a reader in Angola. But I wouldn't agree with Agualusa when he says that it's a problem in the most of the African continent, because, for example, I feel like Nigeria, for example, it's much different. I feel like the industry there is much more developed than ours in Angola, and there is more access, because, you know, I have friends from Nigeria that, you know, they have all these books, you know, Chimamanda's, Chinua Achebe and everything. They have access to it. They even study those authors in school, because, you know, I studied in the UK, and my friends were telling me how they would study Chimamanda in the 10th grade or something. So I feel like there is obviously a similar pattern in the continent, but obviously different countries are in different stages of it. I see it that way. Thank you.